I keep describing this as a toxic relationship I'm not getting out of. When it's great, it's great. When it's horrible, it's the worst thing in the world. My front left tire was off 1 ounce. It ended up being a weight. I do believe. Give me my face. Come here. Track my face. Track my face. Come on. This is a good. Thank you. You can't just go to a dealership to pick it up and buy it. No, the evaporator in the heater would freeze up whenever it's too cold. Back out here at Capitol Forest again. I just needed some time off. I just needed to go relax, take the Rivian, and go do something. So I actually don't even know what I want to do. I think I'm just going to take some photos, maybe a little bit of a B-roll with the drone. Yeah, only got 10% left on this little guy right here. I'm going to have to charge it. All right, let's go. Let's see what we can get into. I think I know what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about, one, how well the Falken Wildpeak A T4Ws have been doing for me. This is actually really the first time I've taken it on a gravel road into some mud and everything like that. They've handled quite well through the rain. The only issue I have is potentially range issue, but I'll get into that. But then let's talk about the one issue that has caused my Instagram to blow up like crazy, and that is my onboard charger died at the beginning of January, and I don't think I've mentioned it in any of my YouTubes yet. As always, you guys know how I love Capitol Forest. Look how beautiful it is. We have some overcast it's more partly cloudy, so we are getting the sun every once in a while. Wow, I need to clean the inside of my windshield. The outside's fine, it had some mud on it, but that inside is from the last time we cleaned. It didn't do so well. Now see, one thing about coming through Capitol Forest is sometimes you're going to run into some downed trees, but that's okay. This was pretty much already cleared. We just gotta run over it and everything will be fine. Well, look how pretty it is out here. I mean, yeah, it's a bunch of fallen trees and everything, but man, I love the Pacific Northwest. Now, I've never been on the B3000, so this is my first time actually coming down this way, so I don't even know what is down this way, but it's bringing me towards the basin. B3030 just brings me down to a little shooting range. That's fine. But B3000, that one rock pit that I showed you guys last time is up there where everybody shoots. But yeah, this is a new adventure. Just trying to figure out different places to where I could just go hang out. I think there was some gunshots coming from around this area, so I don't want to interrupt anyone. So I'll be probably turning around if they're out here shooting, you know. This road is a little narrow. That's fine. We'll just stick to the left side, because remember, the Rivian is a 7,000-pound big bish. Oh, there's a gully here for the water to go through. I wonder if we could see a waterfall. Oh, it's a baby waterfall. Seems to be coming out more out the bottom than it seems to be right there, so it must be pulling up somewhere. Oh, it's even coming from underneath that tree. Maybe that's one of the reasons why that tree fell. It actually looks like it dead ends here. We got some old trees here looking like, oh, good thing I didn't go over this glass right here. Bunch of glass. I wonder if this is a washout. Let's go look. Yeah, so the Falcons have been great. I have been losing a bit of range. There are some times to where I get 2 miles to the kilowatt hours, whereas before I don't even know what I was getting before. Because remember, I was on all terrains before. This actually looks like a really old washout. You got grass and everything already still growing. I'm hearing water from under this tree. I wonder if that happens to a lot of trees. That was a huge tree that was right there. Look at that stump. But another issue that I was having with the Falcons, which I'm actually working with Falken right now with, to see if it is an issue on my end, on the Discount Tires end, or something. They couldn't balance it, or they did balance, or they just didn't balance it right. So I brought in the Falcons to Discount Tires. Discount Tires is trained to properly jack up our vehicles and everything like that. So I felt comfortable with them mounting the Falcons on the stock wheels. I was going to go with some black rhinos, but I decided to do it more OEM than anything. I received them from Falken. Disclaimer, Falken sent them to me for free, just so I can test them out on the Rivian, because they did not test it on a Rivian before. In fact, it's only myself and one other person is actually, that I know of, is testing them, and that's Charge Overland. I mentioned him before in my previous video. So I brought it in. Actually, it was actually, I do believe, give me my face, come here, track my face. Will you track my face? Come on. Why is it not tracking my face? Detecting. Hi, this is a face. Good, thank you. Let's start back again. So I believe I brought it in on the 16th was my dates. They mounted them, balanced them, and I do believe they did a road force. So the first time I brought it in, I still had some vibration, and I couldn't really figure out why. Well, so I brought it in because there was some shaking that was going on, and I couldn't figure out why. At 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour, there was just a shaking vibration that shouldn't have been there. I understand what it's like to have all-terrain tires. I've had it on the previous 3-4 vehicles, so I understand they're not smooth like street tires or all-season tires. Bring it in, and one was fine, but 3 others were not. They were off an ounce each. So they put it on, everything was great, everything was good. Now, fast forward 2 days later, this is whenever I heard that thing fall off in my tire, and I was driving on the highway, and I heard something, maybe not even a week later, maybe 3 days later, I heard something fall into my front left wheel well, and I thought maybe, oh shit, maybe it's a lug nut. I've had that situation happen before, to where my AE86 lug nuts yeeted that away, and so did my wheel, and my car went that way. So that was a kind of scary situation. It was on I-5 too. I managed to pull her off to the side, and it was fine. But let me see if I can find a picture. That being said, we brought it in, and what ended up happening was my front left tire was off 1 ounce. It ended up being a weight, because when I brought it in, it was off a complete ounce, and the rest were actually still off half an ounce. So I'm just like, what's going on here? The manager and I, we were having it out. He was like, no, it's probably bad tires. I was like, I don't know, dude. Just check it one more time and see what they said. Well, he says, the text says that it had a high road force, so it's probably bad. It's probably not a circle anymore. It's probably this. I'm like, dude, I get it. I understand. Let's just test it out and see what's going on. The tech ended up telling me, yeah, it was just off 0.5 ounces on 3 of my wheels, and then off a full ounce on 1 of them. But I think I'm fine now, once Discount Tire was able to properly mount and balance them with road force and everything. I don't even know what the road force machine is, but I guess it's used to really balance it. I don't know. The manager kept trying to explain to me that it's a 10-ply and it's going to be loud and it's going to be vibration. I'm like, yes, but it shouldn't cause my steering wheel to shake. So we fixed it. Everything's fine. The technician was great, and I'm decently happy with the mountain balance now. Now, as for the range and everything on these things, preface this by I have a tent on, which also messes with aerodynamics and the range. And then now that I'm here on 10-ply, that even hurts even worse. But that's okay. Right now, on the highway, once I get up to highway speed, I'm at about an 85% efficiency. So as long as I'm not stopping and going, I'm fine. It's whenever I stop and go, or even come out here to do off-roading, is whenever I start losing any kind of range. And that could be potentially bad. But most of the time, like out here right now, I think I'm averaging 1 mile to kilowatt hours. But I will have to say these tires handle very well in the rain. Amazing in the rain. Besides that, my range pretty much dropped down to 1.75 kilowatt miles to kilowatt hours. That's not exactly the greatest, but that's what I get. It has all terrains. It has a tent. It has all this. And I typically might not go the speed limit. That being said, would I recommend these tires? Yes, I would recommend these tires. But only if you do off-roading and anything more than just forest roads. If you're just doing forest roads, stick with the Scorpion Pirellis. That's just how I feel. Because if you're going to just be daily in it all the time, those are much lighter wheels, and they are going to give you a better range average. So do that if you're sticking with them. But if not, if you want a great off-road tire, get these Falkens, 100%. Because range, you got to charge more. Which brings me into our next topic, my broken onboard charger. But let's go find a new spot. We got some rain clouds coming in, so I'm probably not going to have as much light as what I thought I was going to have. I was only coming out here for a couple hours, maybe get some good pictures. I got a couple good pictures, got a couple cool drone shots too. But let's find us a quick little place before this rain comes in and completely ruins this video. You can just get a bebop throughout all these hills. That's where that shooting pit where I normally go. Y'all saw that. That's where I was. That low road that's going down there is the road that I was traveling on, that I was just talking to you to. But Capitol Forest lets you just drive all of this. Look how beautiful that is. So I think I found that place that I was actually looking for this entire time. That's where I usually start at, way up there. But I believe this is it. Yeah, it kind of looks like it. The rain's coming in. It's so beautiful, though. Oh, man. There sounds to be a pretty decent-sized river or creek down below. I don't know if you guys can pick that up, the noise. But so let's talk about the broken onboard charger. Well, what had happened was, one day I wake up and I get notification that my truck is no longer charging. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. I was at 94% or something like that, which wasn't bad. I was like, all right, this is cool. Other Rivian people, other EV people, I charged 100% all the time. People are like, that's probably why you have problems. I'm like, probably so, but still, it's not. It really isn't. So when I get outside to my truck, I have no power in the garage. I'm like, what's going on? And this was red. I was like, oh no, that's not good. That normally means it's not charging. So I go look, and my breaker went off. I was like, why did my breaker go off for my garage? It was the only breaker for the charger. So I did that. I did a few things to where I was resetting the entire truck to make sure that I could try everything I could to get my charger to work. At first, I was blaming my charger. But then I tried the Rivian dedicated charger, the one that they bring you for the mobile charging. So say like if you go to an Airbnb or something, you can plug it in there, or to a RV park. I kept trying everything, and nothing was working. Like it would blink green 3 times and then turn red. I was like, shit. So I posted about it on Instagram, just kind of like, you guys know how I do. I like to tell you everything that happens to this vehicle in case you're about to buy one of these vehicles too. Well, I think we're at 1.6 million views on that video. Last I checked, there was like 13,000 man hours watched. Like, guys, Jesus Christ. Or just look at these stats. Crazy, right? Well, everybody was blaming me for being an early adopter. Everybody was blaming me for having the red ring of death. Oh, I'm a Chinese communist. Whatever. How dare you buy a Chinese crap? I'm like, this is made in Normal, Illinois. It's an American brand. In fact, I think your Chevy is made in Mexico. Mine's made in Illinois. I don't know what you want from me. But what ended up happening, a big brain moment, I decided to go and see if the level 3 worked. Level 3 did work. That's just annoying because if I need to charge it up every day, which I do, I had to sit there at Fred Meyer for, I don't know, an hour or so in order to give me enough charge to work the next day. Luckily, it happened during the winter season in January. Yep. The level 3 worked. Everything was okay. Got a hold to service. I was like, they ran me through some things that I could do to try to get it to work. None of it worked. Just none of it. Luckily, some of the guys at Rivian actually knew me. They were like, hey man, we're going to try to get you in, try to get you fixed. We know you use this for your business, stuff like that. And Rivian is starting to track your VIN number because it seems like you've had a few things that have been wrong with it. The last biggest thing was the heater core. No, the evaporator in the heater would freeze up whenever it's too cold. Oof. Now there's a software issue with the heater that after an hour, it just turns off. So I'm like, shit. Okay, well, this sucks. Luckily, I don't live somewhere to where it gets really, really cold, even though in January it hit like to 6 degrees. Oh, dear God. I got in by the 15th, I think it was. Maybe the 14th. No, it had to have been like the 12th, because soon after I went on a Rivian adventure, like into the snow, and that was a weekend, and I had the truck for that. And then afterwards, I got the tires delivered that day. I was like, shit, why couldn't I have the tires here? I thought they weren't coming till that next week, but they actually came a little earlier, which brings us back into our tire issue. So it's just one thing after another with this thing. But what they ended up having to do is replace the onboard charger. Sometimes it just goes out. And it's not because I have an early VIN number. Maybe they were using my vehicle as one of the last vehicles that actually had an earlier part inside of it. We don't know. But they replaced it. Everything works great now. Everything's charging well. That being said, it's been chaos. It's just been, but I keep describing this as a toxic relationship I'm not getting out of. When it's great, it's great. When it's horrible, it's the worst thing in the world. Like, I don't try to diminish anybody's toxic relationship. I've been in many of them. But usually by now, I would trade in this truck. but I can't. Not because I got negative equity and anything. I got hella equity on this truck right now. Yeah, I'm losing some equity by keeping it day in, day out, putting more miles on it. But the concept of it, having an electric vehicle for my business, the horsepower, the ability to go out wherever I want, go camping. Yeah, I could get a gas vehicle. But if I wanted something equivalent to what this is, I'd be 15 to 18 miles to the gallon, and I would be upset that I would be paying for gas all the time. You're probably like, but you're paying for extra for electricity. I am paying only 40% more for electricity, 40 to 60% more, depending on how much I drive, how much I charge. It's kind of nice. I only get charged 7 cents per kilowatt, so my bill went up from 150 up to 250, or 125 up to 260, or something like that. So very minimal. And people are like, how do you get so much power? And you're like, cheap power like that? I'm like, in the Pacific Northwest, we have so many hydroelectric dams. And Penlight gets 90% of its power from hydroelectric, mostly. There is some nuclear, there is some solar, and there is some wind, and there is some coal. I don't think coal. I want to say diesel, potentially. I'll look up the stats and I'll put it down below so that you guys can read it in the description. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to. It's been a lot. Oh, and somehow, some way, I met up with Rivian, and we went, and a bunch of owners actually. We went down to Olympia to actually lobby, I guess you could say, for the ability to let Rivian and Lucid to sell directly to consumer, because they are a company who has EVs that make EVs, but they don't have dealerships. And so the only way to do it, you have to order it online. It gets to you, and then they come out with the delivery date later on. You can't just go to a dealership to pick it up and buy it. You have to get it delivered. It's registered. Like, I had a registration to Illinois, crazy as it sounds. But right now, legacy automotive people, makers and everything, the dealerships around here, they don't want that to happen. They feel like if it's direct to consumer, they feel that it's going to take away business, even though stats have shown it has not taken away from business. Because look at Tesla, because they're doing it, but they're grandfathered in here in Washington State. Funny story, Washington State is the only one on the West Coast, and most of it, besides I think New Mexico, on the west side of the United States, that do not allow direct to consumer purchases. Strange, right? Of being as progressive as we are. Nope. Anyways, I could dive a little bit more deeper into that. I could get you guys a whole video on the stats and everything about that. That's future. What kind of plans do I have over the next couple months? I do want to get out to do some more camping, get more mud on this thing. We're having a very mild winter, so there's not going to be too much snow. I might have a snow day. David wants to get these Falcons actually tested out in the snow. I think they will do magnificently out in the snow. But let me take a few more pictures, and I'm going to go head home. I got some homemade vegetable soup, which is kind of funny. We call it vegetable soup, but it's made with beef. They're getting it. They're getting it. All right. You guys take care. Have a great night. I love this truck.